Who said you can't go home? Real Estate Exposed, brought to you by Signature Real Estate. Real Estate Exposed is all about helping homeowners and those who would like to be homeowners and those who would like to get into real estate.
Hello, everybody. We're live from Las Vegas with Real Estate Exposed, your real estate radio show, or not really radio, podcast thing. Vodcast thing. We do
Funcast.
whatever we do, we're doing it
Funcast.
here, and we're doing it live. If you are watching us live, then you know that we are on Facebook.com/RealEstateX, and if you are listening to us, then you're doing it through some form of podcast, something or the other, everywhere and anywhere, because that's where we can be found.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube. That's what you're also doing. Okay. So that's our introductions. I'm Vandana Bala, corporate broker here at Signature Real Estate Group. I've got right next to me Mr. Brandon Roberts. I just felt like doing that. He is the owner of Signature Real Estate Group. And then to his right, Mrs. Shelley Panzarella, whose husband is here today, by the way. But
I'm being censored today.
Nope, don't be censored. Please don't be censored. It's bad enough. No. And Shelley has a title. You're the branch manager.
Yes, branch manager,
Of
prosperity lending.
I'll get that right one time when I do the introduction.
Because you want to call me something else, I know.
I do, but I don't. I can't say it in public. I mean, right? And then, who is this beautiful lady sitting right next to you, Shelley?
This is Mrs. Heidi Kasama.
Mrs. Heidi
Yes.
Kasama. Thank you so much for joining us today, Heidi.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Absolutely. So I have a bio for you, which I'm not going to read all of it.
No, you would get
but I
tired
think-
doing that.
Well, because so when I got it, I was like, wow, that's a lot. I'm going to highlight some things. But I will tell you, one of my favorite memories of you was when you were president of the association, of the local association, and I actually sat on your board. You might have not thought that was the best memory of me, but it was definitely one of my favorite memories of you because you did a phenomenal job. We had a lot going on that year.
Thank you.
And you killed it, crushed it, and did it with style and class. So I commend you for that. That's
Thank
the
you,
nicest
thank you.
thing I'm going to say.
Thank
The
you.
nicest
I'm just
thing
kidding.
to her, or
No, just
like
the
you're in
entire
for a roller
podcast.
coaster
Yeah,
right
no.
now.
It certainly was a difficult time, but it was an honor to serve. I mean, it really is an honor to serve, to have been elected president, and to represent the realtor family. And we're all entrenched in this business. We work really hard in it, and when we serve in those positions, it's a volunteer position. It takes away from our families and our careers and our jobs, and we still need people to do that. We need people to do that will step up and serve, and it's an honor when you can do it, and it just teaches you a lot when you go through that. None of it is, it's like getting ready for politics. There's politics no matter what group you belong to. There's politics in your own family, right? Where we're going to go for dinner tonight. You're negotiating over that, and it starts everywhere. And how do you bring people together and solve the issues, and I think that's if you become better at it the more you serve, and it's just an important thing that we can do, and I'm proud to have done it and proud to serve in other capacities as well.
Well, I feel like you just set up like a great segue to why we have you on today. I can not be the only one speaking.
Well, we're still waiting for the bio.
Oh,
Brandon always keep
We're waiting our turn.
I jumped in. I don't know if I was supposed to jump in, but I jumped
yeah,
in.
no, I'm glad
No,
you
you're
did.
good.
But you know what? Instead of me reading it, I'd really love to hear you. Just tell us a little bit about you. Let's do that. Is that okay? Are you
That's
guys okay
great.
with that?
Love it.
I'm okay with that.
So, wow. So, I don't know if everybody knows, but my parents immigrated from Norway. So my parents were immigrants to this country. And when they immigrated from Norway, it was a poor country. It's one of the richest countries in the world now. My cousins are like, come back. You could just live here. We have state money. But they came like many people looking for the American dream. I'm a product of a typical immigrant family. They didn't have any money, much money at all. And when they finally moved I was born in Brooklyn, New York City, where a lot of immigrants from Europe came to, and they moved to the Seattle area, which has a lot of Norwegians there. And we finally got our first house, and that's probably where my love of real estate started, because it was very difficult for our family renting, not having your roots be able to put those down. And when we got our home in Edmonds, Washington, which is north of Seattle, you could just feel the pride in the family, and it was part of the community, and we became entrenched in that area. And it's just, to this day, it still gives me the best thrill to help somebody purchase their first home. I've sold multi-million-dollar properties, and I'm fortunate for the business that I have, and it's still, I think, what thrills me the most, because I just think that's the path to going down to building wealth in America and stability for our communities. And so, but I met my, fast forward into the Seattle area and living there, I became a CPA, put myself through college. I worked 3 jobs, worked very hard, got a federal loan, paid every penny back. You can ask me about my...
Congratulations.
You can ask me my opinion about forgiving student debt. I think it's outrageous. Then I want a refund.
You're right.
Because, I worked 3 jobs to get that done, and I believe I was the first person in my extended family to get a university degree, and that's when I got my Bachelor of Science in Accounting. And in Seattle, there's also a lot of Japanese people, and that's where I met my husband, Peter Kasama, who is a CPA as well, and now we're going on 30 years. I can't believe it.
Wow.
So, and we have a yours, mine, and our family. There's 5 daughters between us, and we have our little Serena that was ours, and she's 24 now and is a real estate agent,
wow.
works on my team as well now too. So, but we sold our CPA practice. I audited educational institutions, mental health institutions, Cancer Lifeline, multiple sclerosis. I did international taxes. I did audit the University of Washington, Washington State University, Western Washington University. I was a housing and dining bond specialist, so I made sure that the bonds that were issued by the state, that they were compliant with their covenants, and so you don't run into many people like me that did that kind of auditing, but it's interesting the things we go through in life and how they come back, because now running for public office, I have read those large budgets. I have been part of those budgets. I saw how they rolled up from the large state educational institutions up to the state budgets, and I'd love to use that knowledge in Carson City. But then came down here to Las Vegas. We were looking for sun. We found a lot of it, and but we love it. And I'm a complete cheerleader for Las Vegas and state of Nevada. I think it's an amazing place. I think like many other people, we knew it was good, but we didn't know how great this place was till we moved here. The weather is fantastic most of the year. We got a couple hot months, but and such a great community. It is a melting pot here. We have people from all over coming here, and it just makes it just a strong, vibrant community. We love it. I opened up my own real estate company, grew that to about 80 agents, and then merged with Prudential at the time, which is now Berkshire Hathaway. So now I'm the managing broker for the Summerlin office. I have about 250 agents that I manage, and I own a property management business as well, Kasama Property Management, and have certainly served in the industry as the local president for Las Vegas Realtors, and then the state president for Nevada Realtors, and served on the legislative committee, RPAC, and I also serve on the National Association of Realtors on the Finance Committee now, which is an honor to be serving on that as well. That's about a $300 million budget, so they fly me back and forth a few times to look over that budget as well.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I'm not busy at all.
Like, I don't do anything in comparison. Goodness gracious.
What do you do for fun?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's all just work. And
So, well, my children have given up on me. They've decided I'm a complete workaholic. I am a workaholic. I started at 15, gosh, I had a 200 paper route, 200 home paper route, and worked in restaurants, and you just do what you do. And so I think it's in my blood. My family's decided I don't know how to slow down, but they're great. They're incredibly supportive. I do play golf once in a while. I like to read and like to go out and have a nice glass of wine too.
That's awesome.
Well,
Those
Shelley
are all my
loves her.
favorites.
Yeah, I was going to say, except for golf. You don't play golf.
I have driven.
Do you
the
even know
golf
what it
cart.
is?
I do know what golf is. Yes, I've done. What is it? Soccer golf once. That was I broke my toenail, and that was the end of it. So no fun for me.
No golf ever again.
Never again.
That's
that probably
funny.
doesn't even count, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
Not at all.
Yeah. I go on.
I've never even heard of that soccer golf.
Now you know why.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
It didn't catch on. It didn't
Yeah.
spread. None of that. And I noticed in your bio, you, as you like to travel too. I love traveling. So have you done that this year at all?
Wow, this year it's been super busy. No, I can't think of where we've been, but we've been, we've certainly traveled to Japan multiple times because Peter's from there, and he's been to Norway.
Does he
a
have
few
family
times.
there still?
Yeah, he's born and raised in Tokyo, Japan. So he came over here on a college scholarship. Wow. So his whole extended family is over there in Tokyo. So it's interesting because we get along so well because he was the only person that came to America, and my family came to America. And we only had it was just my brother and I, and my whole immediate family's passed. So I only have family in Norway. So we're kind of like just here in America and with our kids. And, and so that's our life.
I don't know if you remember, but serving on the board for the Asian Real Estate Association, he was part of our board of directors. And I just remember every time he would, we would engage in conversation, he just always talked about you, and just his eyes always lit up and all the great things that you were doing. So we knew you through him, basically. He always,
well, he's just a real sweet supporter.
He is, yeah. He's an amazing guy.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about your campaign. You're running for office, which is...
So I am running for the Nevada Assembly District 2, and that area is, if you draw a big bubble around downtown Summerlin, that's pretty much where it is. It's Desert Inn to Summerlin Parkway, and then it's halfway through the lakes. And I'm talking to a real estate audience, I figure, so they know what I'm talking about. And so Fort Apache, Rampart, up to Fox Hill, halfway through the Paseos. So
that's a big district.
It's a big area,
Yeah.
and I've been out walking it.
Have you really?
Oh yeah, I'm out walking.
So let's talk about that. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. How are people taking you walking and knocking the doors?
So I started walking before the pandemic hit, and so then I was out walking, and then we stopped walking for actually quite a while, for several months, and now we're back out. We're wearing our masks, and we're just really careful with social distancing. If we knock on the door, I step back if somebody comes to the door, and less people are opening the door, which I do understand, and then I can just leave my literature on the door, which is what happens a lot.
Yeah. So when did you decide to run, and why?
So, I've had several people approach me, probably for multiple years, that they thought I would be good in public service, in politics, and I probably wisely said no for several years. It's a tough gig. But this last legislative session, as you know, I have a property management business too, you do, and you just can't complain unless you become part of the solution. And some people came to me again and said, you should really, really consider running. You know business, real estate, finances. We need people like you up in Carson City. And I thought about it and talked to my family to see if they were ready for this other journey. It is a journey, and everybody in your family becomes part of it. And I got the support of my family, and my daughter helps on my campaign as well. So she served she was Congressman Heck's intern in Washington, D.C. a couple summers ago. So she Serena. Yeah, okay. Serena. So she spent a summer in Washington, and she came back, and she's like, Mom, you need to run. She goes, there's some crazy people there. We need some smart people. You need to run.
That's
so
awesome.
She was certainly an incredible supporter of getting me over the hump to run as well. And so I decided to do it. And my realtor family has been amazing. I wouldn't be here without the support of the local associations, the state association. It's just been so heartwarming to see the incredible support that I've received from my realtor family. And so I thank everybody for that.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like trying to fundraise during this time, and that's probably got to be the hardest task.
Oh, it's crazy because nobody has money, everybody's hurting, and an assembly race, it's crazy. It costs like $150,000.
Oh, geez.
And you're paid about $15,000, and for us in real estate, that's a couple deals, and so. It is kind of a volunteer position stepping into this too, and so you have to have a real commitment to doing it and working hard and doing it. And so you have to believe in it, and I do, and that's why I'm sitting here. But it is hard, and then to ask people when can you help support? Because you can't deplete your finances, and you don't want somebody that can buy a seat. You want people that have the support of their community that that move up to politics, because they're going to be committed to the community too. And so so it has been very difficult, and it's been a very odd year. And when I talk to this is the first year I'm running, right? It's in politics during this time, during the pandemic, and you talk to other politicians and they're like, yeah, this is not what we've been dealing with, and this is normally not how it is, and normally it's not this hard to fundraise, but nobody has money, or things are tight, and so it's just an interesting time, a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I can imagine. Did you have a question? You want me to just keep going? Do you have a question?
I'm good. Go
All right, tell us a little bit about your concerns.
You've got them
some
all
of the
written
things.
down.
I don't actually. This is just her bio that I still have opened up.
She's still reading it.
Just so you know, we asked her, so what are we going to talk about that? Oh, don't worry about it.
I got this.
I
No,
got it,
yeah.
yeah.
She didn't share your bio, nothing, so.
Well, I got it late last night.
Late last
right?
night,
And
yeah.
so I
I
sort of
remembered.
ran
I'm
through it
like,
this
oh yeah,
morning.
why didn't I ask for this? Let me email that.
Yeah. But talk a little bit about sort of your platform thing, like what you intend, or what your goals are as once you're elected.
Well, I think one of the most important things we need to look at is keeping this a business-friendly state, because Brandon, you own the company here. I've owned my own businesses. I have my own property management and that. And we're the ones that, put out a lot of the risk to open up these businesses. And we invest money, and we work hard, and we're in early, and we leave late. And this is not the time to be taxing businesses. And our businesses are down. Many of the businesses are down. Real estate has continued to be remarkably strong. But for so many businesses, the casinos, the restaurants, I don't know how many my favorite restaurants are not open or looking at closing. And, they're employing 5-10 people. And we have a lot of small businesses that employ 5-10 people. When I talk about businesses, those are the businesses I'm talking about. And I think people have to understand that small businesses employ more people in the United States than any other business than the large corporations, and you can't lump them together. And we have to continue to support them so they do open, so that they employ their people. I look at some of the people running or people that are in the legislature. I honestly feel like if you haven't owned your own business and cut a payroll check, I just feel like you need that experience to understand how all the things pull together and run. And those of us that have owned our businesses, we have foregone pulling money out of the company to make sure we paid our secretary and the people that were there. We've all done that. We've invested before we took any money out to make sure that we could pay our people. And when we can pay people, they can pay their rent and they can pay their mortgage. And so we all have to work together. It's a full cycle, and I'm very passionate about making sure that we don't overregulate and overtax businesses, because that's the starting point to have our economies running and moving forward. I do believe we have to be very careful in overregulation. That just hampers businesses as well. We're in real estate. How long does it take to get a permit done through the county or to make changes? How much of that is necessary? Where can we streamline those things? And of course, our education is,
Number one,
everybody.
from the bottom.
We're on the bottom, and we've been on the bottom for years.
Yeah.
And I do not believe the solution is throwing more money at it, because we've been doing that for years too. And so we have to have program audits. People say we need financial audits. Well, financial audits, they keep passing. I mean, the money comes in, you can account for what came in, you can account for what went out. And so they have financial audits, but what we need is program audits. Where is that money really going? Because we have to direct that money back to the classrooms and the teachers that are on the front line. There's too much administrative overhead, and we've got to work, and we have to really delve into that budget and see where all that money is going. And those are things that I think need to be done. I'd like to be part of that.
Have you?
solution.
What do you think about the SOTs that are in schools now? Right, they're the
What is that?
the SOT. So every public school now has a team of parents, teachers, and students in the high school level where they get together and they look at the budget for the school and they actually determine where the money is going to be spent. Have you not heard of it? You haven't
No,
been?
I have a high schooler. No, is that different than a PTA?
Yes, it's very
Oh.
different than a PTA.
Because I'm not part of that either.
Well, that's the first place you get involved. I was actually listening to Kirkpatrick yesterday, Commissioner
Marilyn
Marilyn, yeah,
Mhm.
and she was saying that's how she started was PTA, and then she met someone, and then now she's
That's
in
how
office.
That's how
Yeah.
it happens. It
Right,
happens with
it's-
some little committee. And
Right. It was something she was really mad about, and then she just started joining
Right.
committees, and then someone said you should run, and she's been a really good friend of ours, especially since we've gotten open houses open and whatnot. But anyways, so the PTA, I digress.
SOT.
Let me bring it
Okay,
back.
sorry.
PTA and the SOTs are a little bit different, right? PTAs they fundraise for the school and try to bring certain programs, but SOTs actually determine where the money is spent. And so they run each school like a business. Am I the only one? I'm not the only one that knows this, right? I mean,
I'm
this
not familiar with it. And I think it sounds like a great idea because I think you need parent involvement and local involvement.
Yeah.
And right now, Clark County School District is too large.
Yep.
It's too
Yeah, I agree.
unwielding. The ship's too large, and so it needs to be brought back to the local levels. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, so the way that I've heard pros and cons on it, right? They just had the election, so you missed it in case you were planning on running for it, Shelley. I know, it just happened.
Next year.
Next year, yeah. So they usually, like in September, end of August, early September, they send out a message to all the parents saying, hey, if you'd like to be involved, go ahead and get involved this way. But it is an opportunity for parents and students and teachers to say, hey, we're doing this program. It's not working. Let's try something different. Or we're spending too much on landscaping that's coming directly from the district. Let's find another landscaper. But I also think that when, again, like the con part of that is when you have big accounts, if you have a landscaper doing all the schools in Clark County, there's going to be a savings to that.
There's an
versus-
economies of scale.
Yeah.
And I don't know the details of the SOTs. Are they making recommendations, or can they actually make financial changes? So, does the Clark County School District, oversight still control it? So, how much can they move that? Because I think it's good you need local involvement to see what's going on.
Yeah, so I've never ran for the SOT because I have way too much on my plate. And honestly, I'm not I don't love politics that much.
Yes, you do.
No,
Yes, you do.
Who is she
And based on
talking
her
about?
bio, I don't think you're
and
doing
I'm
enough.
sitting here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like politics, and I'm sitting here running for an office.
I know. Well, and so I haven't quite gotten to the SOT part. I've thought about it. Every year they send it to me and I fill it out and I have this hesitation and this anxiety. You know how that feels of like actually
You should
sending
do
in
it.
the form.
You should do
Yeah.
it.
Well, maybe next year we'll see.
Yeah.
If I don't run for
PTA.
Then
For
I'll,
the PTA.
then I'll call you up and I'll say,
somewhere.
what's going on? How is this really working?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because I'd love to know a little bit more about that. But anyways, we digress. Let's get back on point. So you were talking about getting involved in the school system and education and making us not number 46 or 47, but actually higher up in.
Let's move us up because we need to help our students be educated. And again, that flows through to our economy. We have businesses coming here and they need an educated workforce. And we've got to be able to supply that. And I believe we've lost businesses to California and other nearby states.
Because of the schools?
Because of our schools.
Yeah.
And, some large businesses that may have relocated here are looking at their families that they're going to relocate and where they're going to put their kids. And not everybody can put their kid in a private school, nor should they have to.
Right.
I went through public school and, and so.
Turned out great.
Yeah.
I read your bio.
She's the anomaly.
But we should be able to have that confidence that we can send our kids to the public schools here and they're going to be educated and they're going to be safe and they're going to become contributing members of society. And so it's an important thing for the whole state to really grapple with this issue and make some tough decisions so we can start raising the bar. I know Florida, I'd like to research more on that. Florida was ranked one of the lowest, and they worked really hard and they brought decision making back to the local levels, and they have continued to raise the bar up and have continued to raise in the United States as their rankings at schools. So other states have made it happen, and we can make it happen too.
Do you think some of that has to do with the income that we're providing our teachers? because there are other states that are giving them a higher pay, right? And I know that we've talked a little bit about, and when I say we, I mean like the state has talked about matching teacher salaries from other states. Like, hey, if you're coming from California, we'll match that, right? But so because of that, there's been teachers that have stayed here in Las Vegas and then moved to California to get a higher salary, then come back to get a higher salary because there's only so much that they can, like their raises are only, I don't know how to say it.
Incremental.
So
Thank you.
So
What he said.
So we do
need
need to raise the income of our teachers that are in the classrooms, and that's my point. Is that there's too much of the money is on the administrative level, so we've got to bring it back to the classrooms. We've got to pay our teachers that are in the classrooms more money and direct more money right into the classroom, not at the administrative level.
I like it. Okay, so what else? What else you got on your platform?
So
Let's talk landlord tenant law, unless you don't want to yet.
well, because that'll take up the rest of the
Right.
of the
Jump at the
broadcast.
bit.
But-
Right. Okay. I know. I'm like,
The real reason you're here.
but it's it's just I'm baffled by what's going on. First of all, I think it's contract interference. What is going on? The other thing is that's one of the bills that we want to present early in the legislative session coming, is because right now the governor is working under emergency powers. I think we have to define how long is emergency powers. I don't think it's emergency powers when we're going on 6 months. Now it's becoming a way of life. And so I know there'll be some bill drafts for putting a cap on how long emergency powers can be granted to the governor. And I think it's probably 30 days or something like that. I don't know the number, but, and then you have to go back to the legislature and you all have to work together to come up with these things. And as we know, one of the things that's completely frustrating with the landlord tenant issues, we don't want tenants being kicked out and on the
right?
street.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that, and I don't understand where that seems to be lost. Nobody wants that. When this first started happening, before I was told I wasn't allowed to talk to my tenants, I talked to my tenants. I'm like, I see this coming. I talked to my owners. I said, I see this coming. It's going to be an issue. We need to work with the tenants, because if we go to evictions and kick everybody out, who's going to move into your houses? And they agreed with me. And my recommendation was, work with them, see if we have a payment plan, see who's working or not. Let me find out who's getting aid or not. The point of the CARES Act was to supply money to individuals so that they could provide for housing and shelter, so they could have money to pay for rent or a mortgage.
That's right.
But we're not allowed to ask if you've been getting the money for rent or a mortgage. And so the tax dollars are going to make sure that people are kept whole, and yet we've decided everybody is not whole and it's an emergency. That I completely disagree with. I want to help those that are truly not getting any money and don't have a job. Let's work with them. And I set up payment plans with people. I advise my owners, to help people. I said if they get 3 or 4 months behind, they'll never be able to make it up because they're not
right.
working. So coming back. So why don't do I have your permission to offer, if I feel that they're not getting income from other places, that they pay half a month's rent for 3 months or 4 months? And so I had a plan to work it out. I manage about 350 properties. I have maybe only one possible eviction. I've worked it out. But for the government to start saying how you should work it out, that's where I have a problem with it. Because if you're a smart business person, you're going to look at this and you're going to come up with solutions to make it work. And if people are just being brazen and bad, then slap them. Yeah, give them fines, give them
Right.
penalties. And I think, one of the big differences is we have large apartment complexes and we have the motels. And a lot of the issues are around the motels where people are paying daily rates and they're there for 7 days. Don't throw me in the same bucket. I have mostly single-family residential where the owners of my properties own maybe 1 property or 2 property. And they are relying on that rent. Just like the tenant is relying on income to pay the rent, that homeowner, this was their American dream, to buy 1 property that they could, set up their retirements with. And they desperately need the money to pay their mortgage. And I don't see, people talking about the whole balance. And we need to be able to support them as well. And there is support. There is income for the owners of the property. The bank banks have stepped up and said there's forbearance. But again, forbearance doesn't mean they can't pay it. It's just tacked onto the end of their loan. But the other thing that's happening is it's still showing up as a late payment for the owners. So we found out from owners that now their credit is being impacted, and if they want to go, they need to buy something or do something, their credit is low, even though the government has said, the banks have to work with you to tack on those missing payments on the end. It is still impacting these owners. And we have to look at all of those pictures and help all of that. But if people have been being made whole with assistance, then that assistance is to go for a certain purpose. And that's where I think when the government starts regulating these contracts, what we can and can't do, I think that's completely wrong. And so, but we, as business people, will step up to find out the solutions that are best. Let the markets work. And like I said, if people are misbehaving and throwing people out and not trying to work with them a payment plan, then fine them. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Do that, but you can't throw everybody in the same bucket, people that are working for it.
Right, and when the government gets involved, they actually hinder the ability for you to work out a deal with the tenant.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
make it so that you're going to create that, and the owner in the end does lose because that tenant's probably going to walk, never pay any of that, and that owner still has to pay that with interest and everything else on that forbearance. So
Yeah,
it's rough.
absolutely. For a while with the governor's directives, it's changed now. We weren't even supposed to talk to the tenants and even try and do a
Right.
payment plan. Now they've created a payment plan, but we weren't even supposed to do that. We could have gotten more done earlier if we hadn't had that strict oversight, I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I actually have a friend of mine who's a property manager, and she is through the landlords are starting to sue the tenants and finding that the tenants are actually able to pay. They're like, oh, wait, we don't want to be sued. Here's the $6,000 we owe you, and they're suing them through small claims. And so I think that
Instead of evicting them, they're
instead of
suing?
evicting, because they can't evict them, right, for non-payment. You can
That's
evict
interesting.
people for
Yeah.
you can evict people for payment, for paying their rent, but doing other things, but you can't evict people for not paying their rent, right? Which I think is a little bit silly.
You
and
can
so,
evict for lease violations, but not for non-payment.
yeah,
rent.
lease violations, HOA violations, things like that. And I think that's the,
Isn't non-payment a lease violation though, or like?
Well,
what's a lease violation?
It was carved out as a reason you cannot do an eviction, so it was exempted.
Okay.
yeah. And then you've got now, on top of what our governor's done, you've got the CDC order, right? That's going to keep some tenants in their properties
Well,
if
and-
the governor doesn't extend this eviction moratorium.
And then we also had Clark County Commission stepped up and said that for landlords in Clark County,
Source of income.
you cannot discriminate based on source of income. So here's a government regulation again. So if you're a tenant and you've gotten financial aid either federally or from the state to pay your rent, then a landlord cannot discriminate that source of income comes from there. That's okay, actually. But however, let's take this full circle. How long is that federal aid or state aid going to last? So is that
They
going
don't
to
know.
last for 2 months or 3 months? And I have a tenant looking at me that wants to sign a 12-month lease.
Yeah.
So what is my exposure as a property manager to have somebody sign up for a 12-month lease that might only have 3 or 4 months worth of income coming? Nowhere in this regulation is any of that thought about or addressed. And that's what drives me nuts, where I see these unintended consequences with these regulations and these laws that sometimes get passed, because that makes no sense that I can't ask questions about that and figure that out.
So that ordinance came about through Commissioner Jones, and I actually sat down with him before he even brought it to the commission. So just for clarification, that's just unincorporated Clark County, and there is an exemption where if you have a landlord that only owns one property that's a rental, they're exempt from that source of income. We're hearing rumors that the city of Las Vegas, Henderson, as well as North Las Vegas are planning on jumping on board with the source of income. But one of the things that that Jones was worried about was, what if the governor's eviction moratorium actually ends on the end of August, right? And so they rushed into making a decision, not knowing what the governor was going to do and not having all the structure in place to implement this new ordinance, where we, like you said, don't know if it's going to be 2 months, don't know if it's going to be 6 months. And so one of the things I said to Commissioner Jones was, I think one of the biggest problems I have with this ordinance is that you're telling me that it could be 3 months or 6 months, And now my landlords are going to have to forcibly, take on a tenant for that time frame and now turn the properties over
Which
in less
costs a lot of
time.
money.
That's more money for them. And I mean, no offense here, but I've had a lot of properties where Section 8 tenants were living in them, and the turnaround on those are way more expensive than some of the ones that I've seen, because I feel like there needs to be, and we talk about this even in real estate, there's got to be some skin in the game, right?
Yeah.
And if they got no skin in the game, they're not going to pay attention or care about the home. And I think it's across the board with just people in general, right? Is if there's no skin in the game, they're not going to pay
it's
attention.
free, you don't
There's
appreciate
no
it.
value.
Yeah. So yeah, that the source of income ordinance is coming about in all of the other municipalities. So that'll be interesting to see what
I
happens.
really believe
but-
it's
Overstep, right?
contract interference. I believe it's an overstep. I think it's ill thought, and trust me, I'm the first to want to try and protect people that need the shelter and work with them. But we should be able to figure out how to work with them and talk to them and find out what their sources of income are, and then help them and set up plans. Instead of the government dictating how we're supposed to do it, and they don't have the full picture, and then we get all these unintended consequences.
Yeah, and there's been rumors that the governor might extend the original eviction moratorium, or this one again, right? The again extended
Yeah.
to the end of the year, which would put us in with the CDC, but still.
And like the last special session, so they passed a mediation program essentially for the evictions.
First time the judicial branch
So-
has been involved in
so
that legislative process.
Here again, so if we've ever done evictions before, the tenant can go and object to the eviction, and there is a hearing process. We already have a process in place that delays the eviction and provides for a hearing process. It's already there. I talked to some people in the courts, and they're like, the special session passed this. First of all, the courts are overwhelmed, and they go, this is a whole other program we're supposed to set up. We don't have the time or the money to do it, nor is there much guidance on how we're supposed to do it. And I've talked to some of the court people and the attorneys, and they said, there's already a process there. We already have a process. Now we've added another layer, which is unnecessary.
So additional time for tenants not to pay rent.
And cost, and even the court said, we're not prepared for this new program that nobody talked to us, the courts or the attorneys, about this.
Yeah.
So
God, I mean, I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole. I want to do. Why are you laughing?
do it.
Waiting.
Okay, so if there is, let's just say, I don't even know how to ask it and be nice about it.
It's exposed.
I know. I feel like, I don't want to put Heidi in a predicament either. So I'm not. We'll talk about it next week. How about that?
Okay.
So no, because we're live, and I don't want to put Heidi in that position. Okay, so tell us about other platforms. What else you got?
So,
Or is that it?
Well, I think that's a lot. I mean, it's
It
bringing
is,
our
yeah.
That is a
bringing
lot.
our economy back, and I really believe we've got to open up all the businesses. We need to do, we have to be COVID conscious, and we have to practice safe distancing and wear a mask to protect our businesses and that. But we've got to let our businesses open. And, there's got to be some personal responsibility. If you are an older person or you're health impaired, don't go out.
Right.
Don't go out where you're going to be exposed and it's an issue, or if you feel comfortable, you're healthy, wear your mask. But the government can't stop this. It's a virus. And I was talking to a doctor. It's COVID-19 now. It's going to be COVID-20 in the spring. It's going to be COVID-21
Oh, don't
in the
say
summer.
that.
Yeah, but they said, viruses, flus mutate, and they
Every year.
and so every year. So this is a killer virus. It's a really bad one that's here. But people have to. If you're health impaired, then please don't expose yourself. Then don't go out there. It is a dangerous virus. It's very dangerous. It is killing people. And so, but you have to have some responsibility that the government can't fix it and mandate to all the businesses how to protect everybody that walks through your door. It's impossible. And so, let them open up, and people, we've got to have, I always say, I'd put a sign on the door that says, I cannot protect you. If you're worried about the COVID virus, don't enter my premises.
I like
you know,
that.
let them open up, and then let's. Of course, we want to practice social responsibility and protect the businesses and people around us, and wear masks and what the medical doctors advise that we should be doing. But we've got to help these businesses open up, because it is literally killing our economy, and you know, people die from poverty too, and so we've got to get. We have an increase in domestic violence and violence and alcoholism and everything else going on, because people are frustrated, they're not working, they're depressed. So we have a lot of other consequences happening with how it's being handled right now. So let's get our businesses open, let's get our economy open.
Okay. I think Brandon wants a copy of that sign.
Yeah.
He needs 5 copies
Yeah.
of that sign
What's that?
for all 5 offices.
No, I think we should talk some real estate too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do some real estate stuff. Let's talk we talked about tenant landlord stuff, but
Yeah.
That was-
I mean, how was it for your office and your agents through the shutdown? I mean,
So I think we're all really rather surprised at how strong the real estate market. We just broke a record again. What was the median price? 347,000.
well, we normally do that right at the beginning of the
Oh.
show.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
But I got all screwed up.
Stats.
Yeah.
You want to tell them? Why don't you tell them that? So
I usually do stats right at the
Can you
beginning,
let us
and so
guess
it was.
what the
I'm
highest sales
sorry, I
was?
really do. Yeah. So I can do it based off of the last 7 days, as well as like just on average. But yeah, we usually do a guess at like what the highest price is. Do you want to guess? Did you check it already?
I haven't yet.
Okay, so well, the highest price sale in the last 7 days.
Are you going to let us guess?
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay. Go, Brandon.
oh wait, I'm trying to cheat.
830,000.
What?
That's it. Yeah.
Weak.
830,000.
Was
but it
that
took
Shaquille?
130,000.
in the last 7 days.
No, Shaquille O'Neal did not buy the house. That was 2 weeks ago, Shelley. Yeah.
So nothing over $1 million in the last week.
Nothing over $1 million in the last week.
How long was that
yeah.
on the market?
137 days.
Wow.
It was listed for 850, overpriced. But do you want to know where it is? You always
Yes,
ask,
I
but
do,
I don't.
yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'll get to that in a minute. But
Way off.
on average, the price of homes right now is $319 average, $319,896, and then the median was $295. Now this is just in the last 7 days, so calm down.
Okay.
see
I was
your
going to
page.
say, because
Like,
it's
my
337,
stats are a
It's a
little
lot
250.
higher.
different.
It's
Yeah.
higher when you look at everything that's sold in the last year, because when you put the S status, it's within the last year, right? Unless you specify the last 30
median
days.
price of existing single-family homes sold in southern Nevada was 337,250.
337.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Median price.
Okay, so that was, so that's part.
That's the statistics through September.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up
337.
8.8% from
Right.
the 310,000 during the same month last year.
I mean, think
marks
about
an
that.
all-time new record.
8.8% increase last year, and that's during this pandemic.
Wait, this doesn't make any sense. I'm having a really hard time looking at this because when I looked at the stats section, it said 830, but I lied. In the last 7 days, the highest price was 6.725. It's
Million.
coming up weird. Don't look at me like
That's what I
that.
said. 6 million. I was closer.
6,725,000.
Said $1.
in Summerlin. Yeah.
So where
that
was
over
that?
in the Ridges.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah, that
Goodness
sounds
gracious.
more. That
Yeah.
seems more.
Well, it seems like we're, and
That
one of
was
the
I was like
Shaquille's.
800. Yeah.
I don't know why it came up. I swear to God, it was like this. Oh, maybe because you know what I know what I did. I didn't do all. I didn't click
just
them
did
all.
District
I
Oh.
2?
Yeah, so I just did District 2. That's all we care about
Yeah.
today.
Stats are always the toughest part of the show. Just telling you.
We try not to make it boring because they're stats. Like, what do you do? So what I did was I didn't click on all. I just clicked on everything on the first page, and so that's
Oh,
why I didn't
that's
get it
right.
right. Plus, it's like a lot of pressure. Everybody's watching me. So let me
sorry.
get back to this for a second. The average price in the last 7 days was 370. I can't read that. You can't read it. $376,025. Yeah, and the median was 320. So we talked about that because you were saying in your office your sales have been up.
Sales have been up, but we've had some of the strongest closing months, which is, I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah.
It's just really amazing. I don't think what any of us would have thought, but,
Yeah.
I think the interest rates are driving so much, it's incredible. And I think, the other states are are fleeing their
Yeah.
states, literally. I mean, look at California. It's sad. It's on fire, literally.
Yeah.
It's on
Fire sale.
It's on fire with politics. It's on fire with nature. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's a hot mess over there, you know. And so people are coming over here, and we see that a lot. People calling up and just wanting to come over here and get
All
out.
parts of California too, not
Yeah.
like before it was just Southern California. Now we're seeing it all over California that they're coming here from.
They're being, to my point, they're being overtaxed and overregulated, and they want to come back to places that encourage people that are entrepreneurs and working hard. And we've always done that. Nevada's been a great state for that, and we have to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And then they want to get involved in our politics and change it back to California.
Yeah, which I hope does not happen,
No,
because that
yeah,
would be
exactly.
horrible.
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 Well, I got these things, these Invisalign, so I'm having a hard time speaking. Like
I
there are
wondered what
some-
was going on over there.
Yeah, there. So I've got.
I can't see them.
You can,
Yes, you can.
because they're invisible. They're Invisalign.
Oh.
But when I say my phone number, I'm like 401-1404. Like I have to really
Enunciate
yeah,
it very
enunciate
well.
it. Yep. Yep. And so there's a lot of little things. Is that why you're looking at me weird today?
Yeah, I just couldn't figure it out. Now I know. I didn't know what was in your teeth.
It was invisible. You're like, why is she talking like she cut her tongue off or something? Yeah. It's the teeth thing. So it's a little awkward for me to speak. I'm having a hard time.
Is this week 1?
This is week 2.
Okay.
And next week I get a tooth out because apparently they're not going to line up right if I don't.
Ouch.
My dentist made a decision. But that has nothing to do with real estate. So,
It does. It's overcrowded.
Who's going to talk next week?
it's
Leads
California.
right into our next segment.
These are this is my California, we're getting rid of this California tooth, right? No more.
He's fleeing.
It's fleeing the rest of the mouth. All right, so you sent a couple of articles, Brandon. You want to get into those? Are you looking at those?
No, I was just reading the home prices are up. That's great.
Home prices are, oh my God, by the way, I just
Sales
watched-
are up too.
Yeah,
Sales are up?
yeah. I just, not that this has
I
anything to
think
do
we
with
almost
house
had,
prices.
did we have almost 4,000?
I don't know. It says sales up 16% year over year.
Right.
Which is amazing.
Tremendous, yeah.
16% is a big deal.
I think that
That's
happened in
huge.
like the last 6 months, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's just for the month of September.
Yeah.
Which is usually the quietest month for us, right? I
Right.
mean, September is when people start like finishing up their home buying experience for the most part, and so and then the rest of the month or the rest of the year is just trickling, right?
September, October is usually pretty good.
But you're right.
Yeah.
39.96, so almost 4,000 homes.
I thought I remember that, which
Yep.
is that's one of our strongest closing months in a long, long time.
And inventory is way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We also have a 40-acre medical campus that's coming to
I
Henderson.
saw that.
Did you? I think that's kind of cool.
That's my neck
That's
of the
great.
woods.
Yeah, so you'll finally have good health care over there.
We'll take it. We got this.
I
good
thought you were
schools
moving
and,
here, though.
To the Uncommons. Have you heard of the Uncommons? Is this like the new? So I met with a commercial broker Tuesday,
Yeah.
yesterday, and she had shared this
Uncommons.
Uncommons, I think is what it's called. It's just a big, multi-use
Oh yeah.
place. It's beautiful.
Work-life harmony, inspiring workplace committed to a new level of health, innovation, and community.
In Henderson.
No, right here.
Oh, right here.
She
Okay.
kept saying right here, and Brandon and I were like, oh, at the bend? No, right here.
Yes.
Like, there's a hole right next to our
The old
building.
Sullivan Square, is that what we're
Is that
talking
what it
about?
is?
Remember that, you
Let me
guys?
pull it
The
up.
old Sullivan Square at the curve, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where it is, but Shelley
That
was
must be
talking
where
about
it's
it. I
at.
thought that was kind of cool. So they're
Yeah,
starting.
if it's right here, that's where it's going to be. It's the old Sullivan Square.
2 million breaths in your office. I don't know what that means. Make every
Uncommon
breath count.
property coming to the Southwest Valley. Matter Real Estate Group.
Nice. That's not us.
Great.
Yeah.
And then anybody's noticed open doors under federal investigation
For
Ooh, I didn't see that. Tell me
leave
about
the
Yeah.
door
that.
open.
for leaving the door open. Open Doors officially filed its announcement to go public after announcing its merger with social capital Hedo Sophia Holdings Corp. in September, but the filing also revealed that Open Door is under investigation by the Federal Trade Commission over its advertising practices. According to the filing, Open Door in 2019 received a civil investigative demand In August 2019, the FTC sent a civil investigative demand to Open Doors seeking documents and information relating primarily to statements in the company's advertising and website, comparing Open Doors offers to purchase homes to selling in a traditional manner using an agent, and statements pertaining to Open Doors offers reflecting or being based on market prices. Pa-ching! That's what happens when you lie. No.
Hammer time.
I never
gets
I never
involved.
quite understood that. You could walk up to one of their doors and just call somebody and they gave you the code.
You didn't
And
have to call
could be-
anybody.
You could be anybody. You could be a squatter walking up there and get the code.
If you have the app.
I just could never quite understand
All
that.
you have to do is have the app. You have the app, you punch in where you're at,
I've
it
called with
finds
no
it, and
app.
boom.
I've called with no app. I've just called the phone number on the door. And
Squatters don't have phones or apps.
Yeah, and
so
they
that's-
gave
Maybe
me,
that's what
That's
and
how
they
they
gave
keep
me
them
the
out.
code to the door, and I walked in. I was like, wow.
But they have
this
camera
is
systems
crazy.
in there. They've got alarm systems. Like they've got a
they?
whole they've got like when you go into them, you'll notice there's like alarm systems and it's just a whole bunch of shenanigans. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're under investigation. So that's kind of exposing, I think. What happened?
Oh, I'm just trying to find out
He's
exactly
trying to
where the uncommons
explore.
are. Explore the uncommons.
The uncommons.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. What else you guys got? Brandon, pay attention to us for a
I'm
second.
paying attention to the uncommons.
To the uncommons. Well, tell us a little bit about it then.
I don't know. Shelley
So
just
I do
told
have
us.
a question. So knowing
there it
that
is.
our very own here is going to be entering into
Presidency of the association.
President-elect, now president in 2022.
And congratulations.
What words of advice would you give him?
Oh, good one.
So the words of it.
Run fast.
One, yeah. Don't have everybody get in trouble in the association because then you have to deal with it. But it's really having an open ear to working with everybody because, everybody is serving on the board and on committees, and you have to respect that they're all giving their time. And you might not agree with them, they might not agree with you, but to have an open ear, to listen to the different viewpoints, and then you have to bring it together. Then you have to, at a certain point, kind of wrap it up and bring it together. But everybody has a right to have their opinion voiced and to be able to listen to that because you're going to be looked at as a leader that will lead them. And they want you to lead them. They want you to give them advice and bring them together. But I don't think you don't want to do what we see in national politics, which is polarizing. And you want to stay away from that and find the ways that, if you always have in mind, is this something that is good for the association, which is good for the members or not? And what is the cost and how can we move this and bring this together and be respectful of those that are serving and volunteering their time too? That's what I try to do, and I think that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, I know you did a great job. And
You were on her board too, right?
no, I came in
Oh.
the year after. She was past president because
Mm-hmm.
Keith followed you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Keith was the first. Yeah, he was the first one.
Well, that was a great example for you.
Yeah, it all went downhill after. Boom! That's for you. No, but I noticed the polarizing thing. I just making some calls yesterday for people for vice chairs of committees, and man, some people really unloaded. They're pretty upset with different things, and it doesn't take much for people to get offended. So.
Absolutely, and that's such a great place to start is to hearing that, and really listening to what is that, why did that happen, and how could I not be doing that to rather bring people together to unify them versus putting people in polarizing camps.
Last about 45 minutes into it, I just said, so I guess that's a no? A hard no?
Don't want to be vice
Yeah.
chair? Oh, no. Was
No,
it a good person?
Oh, he was a great person.
Oh, well.
Well, hopefully you talk them into continuing to serve.
Well, you know him, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
we just needed a vent. It was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everybody now in the association, and I feel like it's not necessarily the president that's doing all of the things that we're frustrated about, right? It's other members of the board, and I think Tom's done a good job this year.
Yeah, I do too.
keeping everybody sort of engaged and trying to find the peace. For somebody who is a politician, he's a very interesting one. He's got a lot of, I'm trying to be nice about this. Somebody
You're
else take
smiling.
over. I know. Somebody else take over.
Just say it.
He
He can take it. He's taken
I
a
know
lot
he
this year.
can. He actually has, and I think he's done a good job overall. It's just his board is a little out of control. Most of the members.
I think you have to understand that there'll be issues. When I was president, I had 3 lawsuits against the association. We changed the lockbox contract. We had, I know they had tried with various presidents, but I was able to bring the board to a conclusion to actually vote on and approve selling our old location. That happened under me as president, so I was able to get that done, that we started that process and got the approval to sell and do that. And there was a lot of discussion around that. And again, I approached it from a financial way, what is the cost for running an old building and not only our brand, but running it, and is it an area that we're proud of our realtors coming to for classes and signing up, and so we were able to get that done. But there was a lot of things I dealt with that was contentious, and I believe every president deals with things that are contentious, and so you have to expect some of that, and then how are you going to move forward and again try and bring people together is what is your role? That's the role of the president, I believe.
Well, I'm glad you talked him into selling that building and building a new one. 'Cause
Yeah.
This one is awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
a
close.
great one. It is super
Yes.
close to our office,
Yeah.
right? It's like right down
Yeah.
the street.
It's easy for everybody, really, off the freeway,
Yes.
from people
Yeah.
from Henderson and the west side. And
Well, let's talk about rates before it's too late, because
Rates.
we're almost at that time.
Nothing
where-
really exciting on rates. They're still holding pretty steady in the low or the high 2s, low 3s.
which is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
When we talk a lot about affordability and everything, that really makes the difference. I think today, in all of the clients that I've been talking to, like, I have the sense of urgency is because of the rates. And they're
Yeah.
no
Right.
longer talking about the value of, the sales price anymore, where it used to be like, oh, I'm just waiting for our sales prices to drop so I can jump in. Now it's like, when do you think the rates are going to go up? And I'm like, I don't know, but you better get on board.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rates are low.
Well, I heard that there might be an extension on like keeping rates low until the end of the year. Is that not true?
So the Fed fund rates, they have said that they're going to keep, so that's like the short-term rates, those are going to be at 0 is what they're saying all the way through 2023. But remember, that does not affect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the
mortgage
difference?
rates. So the mortgage rates are your 30-year, your 15-year long-term rates. I mean, last time they did this, mortgage rates, when they said short-term rates are going to be low or 0, mortgage rates were 3.5 to like 4.5, and they varied up and down.
Ah.
Here, they're going to keep their short-term rates to 0. So you want to buy a car, maybe you want to do, credit cards, things like that. Those types of rates are going to be low,
Very low.
very low.
You didn't watch your mortgage moment, did you?
I'm asking.
She did it.
I did, which is why I'm asking
Oh.
the question.
Oh,
Thank you.
sure.
Ew.
Ew.
I'm not asking, not everybody has access to her mortgage minutes.
Well,
so-
it is
all
on
on
YouTube,
YouTube.
so make sure you like and subscribe.
There you go.
Nice.
Oh, lovely. All right. What else on rates? That's it?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Fantastic. Do you have anything to add, Brandon?
Or just thank you so much for coming in today, Heidi.
Oh,
Yes.
I truly enjoyed it. If anybody wants to find out more about me or the platform, you just go to HeidiKasama.com. And that has my my political platform, and you can donate there too.
So you said Heidi, but we say Haiti.
So my realtor family, I am Haiti,
Yeah.
but I've found actually my campaign people said when I'm out, out in the public and they're like, it's too confusing. They look at it, they see how it's written, and they're all going to call you Heidi, and they go, let them call you Heidi. So I'm like,
Got it.
okay, but if I walk down the street and somebody calls Heidi, I don't turn around, but if people call me Haiti, that's my realtor family and
Got it.
friends, and
Yes.
you guys know me as Haiti, and that's my good old Norwegian pronunciation.
So that's HEIDIKASAMA.com.
That's
What
right.
about
right,
the
that's
voting
right.
and everything? It's going to be it's different, right? The voting is going to be.
So they're going to start with early voting coming up here now. Ballots are going to be mailed out. They're probably going to start arriving in your mailboxes in the next week or so.
Okay.
And so you can have mail-in ballots. They're going to have multiple early voting stations that you can go and vote in, and you can also vote in person on
Oh,
November
okay.
3rd. So you can still go vote in person. There's plenty of places that you can go do that, just like we did before.
Great.
Yeah, that's what I've always done. It's just been the easiest, I think.
Well, I thought with everything going on, they were going to.
They are doing mail-in ballots as well, so that will be mailed to your home as well.
Got it.
So you'll get
So-
those, but you can go out and vote
So
in
you can
person.
vote early and you can vote often.
Yes, you can.
Just one time.
Don't do that.
But vote in November, and then,
That's right.
and then you will be in office in January?
So February, first Monday in February, February 2nd is the first day of the legislative session.
Right in time.
Yes. Yeah.
For the first do you already have your bills written out that you want to?
No, there's a couple drafts I've looked at and certain things to look at, but that's a little premature. That'll be coming.
Okay, sounds good. Then we won't make you talk about it. What?
We just got our wrap.
We're going to wrap up. Oh, did we get the wrap-up
Yes.
notification? Yeah, let's wrap up. Brandon, you want to say it this time? You can end. You've been very quiet today.
Goodbye.
There you go. Find us on Facebook.com/Real Estate X or anywhere podcasts are heard.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.